One of the biggest challenges for an owner, especially of a shop, cabinetry or millwork, doesn't matter which, maybe even closets, is how to train a foreman in leadership when you already don't have the time. There's actually three things that are so hard to get past. One of them's time, the other one's structure, and the other one's priorities. So, you already know this if you're leading a cabinet shop or a millwork shop, just getting the time is probably one of the hardest things to do, right? So, why don't I pull the microphone over? That might help. Sorry, I'll just repeat myself. The biggest challenges that I see with business owners when they're trying to train foremen or anybody in a leadership position on their teams just don't have the time. They don't have the structure. And then there's the third thing, which is priorities. I think time's not a big surprise to any of us, right? The biggest challenge owners face every day of a growing shop is training leaders while running the business. You're already working 10 hours a day on a good day, right? 10 hours if it's a long weekend. And stopping to train somebody just feels impossible. And of course, you're not a trainer. It's not what you do every day. So you probably don't have systems and processes for the daily huddle, how to build a block schedule, how to walk through a bottleneck, how to hire and manage people based on behavioral or personality styles. What are behavioral styles and why are they important when we're building a team? Things to say instead of making things up. I remember a story when I was leading a team, and I had a young lady in my office crying because her manager had said something to her that was, off color. And so I called him in later on. I'm like, "Hey man, what happened?" And he goes, "Well, I said this, and she said that, and then I said that." I'm like, "Where did you learn to say that thing?" And he looked at me for a second. He goes, "Well, I saw it on 30 Rock." And I thought, oh my God, how did I get to a place where my supervisor, in this case, he wasn't a foreman, that wasn't his title, he was called a supervisor, had to rely on a TV show, 30 Rock of all things, to use in his management skills. So of course that young lady was crying. How many times have you had to unwind something like that? And again, it's because we don't understand behavioral styles, personalities, how to build a team on purpose, how to set the culture of the team. All of these things sound like moonbeams and Lucky Charms, but they're not. They can be trained, right? So time is one of the things holding us back there. And then there's the structure of training itself. Learning on the job isn't enough. We simply don't have the time for a foreman to join us and learn as they go. We're going to burn through staff. We're going to burn through projects. We're going to burn through money. That stinks. Learning on the job isn't enough. And being good on the tools doesn't mean that somebody's good with people. How many times have you hired somebody to be a foreman, supervisor, sub-assembly lead, whatever it might be, installation foreman, and just because they're good on the tools, it didn't translate over to being good with people? Whereas you might have somebody who never really was that great on the tools, but was a great leader. How do you identify that? How do you identify those skills? How do you hire that person? How do you promote that person? Those are all the things we deal with here. By the way, if this is making you curious, we have a training coming up just for the foreman. It's actually for the foreman and the owner of the business. If you want information on it, join us on the info call. Just send me a text at 315-903-7853 and just say foreman training, and I'll send you the information. It's a free call. It's going to be half an hour maybe with questions on top of it. So join us there. And being good with the tools doesn't mean good with people. Without the training, people just have to guess. Right? When we don't train them, then they have to guess or just avoid problems, which isn't good because we've got a factory floor or we've got an install crew that's humming along and suddenly it's being held up because there's a problem that's being avoided or somebody's guessing or they're really making it up as they go along. Why do we have to reinvent the wheel? We don't. The shape has already been established. We can negotiate the color and the size, but the wheel has been invented. We don't need to reinvent it. Is that what you're asking your foremen or leaders to do? So again, they need tools like how to run a daily huddle, how to run effective meetings. What does block scheduling look like? How do you get through bottlenecks? How do you use behavioral styles to craft the right kind of team? And then how do you understand those styles to get that team all moving in the right direction? And then, of course, things to say, checklists to use, posters to put up. I want you to think about all the unused real estate in your shop right now. Think of the tallest machine in your shop and think about the walls above it. Look at how much drywall space there is. It's 12, maybe 16 feet of space above your tallest machine. Why isn't that being used to help build the culture of your company, to help drive SOPs forward, to help your leader lead their people, right? That just leads, all we're doing, if we're not using all of the tools at our disposal, is allowing mistakes to crop up
and allowing people to be trained wrong, which ends up becoming big problems that you and I have to deal with later. And then the third thing is priorities. Look, a simple way to develop leadership skills without pulling somebody off production is teach people in short weekly sessions on real issues. It has to be reality based. If we start talking to people about theory, their minds go in a million directions. None of this is going to be theory in the foreman training. Again, if you want to join us on the information call, send me a text, 315-903-7853. We're putting together a wait list. When we have people on the wait list, then we'll announce when the information call is. You'll get an email for that. But first text me and just say foreman training, and my cell is 315-903-7853. But sorry, I was talking about the tools. You want to make sure you teach people in short weekly sessions on real life issues, so it's not theoretical, and then give them tools they can use right away. Like, what is a bottleneck walkthrough and how do you put it in place? How do we hire people based on certain styles of communication, the way they act, the way they walk, the way they think, the way they talk? Did you know that you can actually hire for that? Now, your foreman might not be responsible for hiring, but they are responsible for training people. How do you train somebody properly without knowing how they see the world? Well, we've got the tools to show you how to do that. And then how to have effective meetings to make sure projects run on time, on budget, safely. All of those things come together. So we'll talk about it more. You should join me for the foreman training information call. It's a great way to get the conversation started. And by the way, on that call, I want both you and the foreman sitting there listening together, so you both take this in as a little bit of training for the foreman. And of course, as you're training that foreman on and on in the business, you have to remember to keep coming back to continuous education for them. Little bits served out over a long, long time. All right. Well, thanks for checking in. I hope you found today valuable. These are the 3 reasons why learning on the job isn't enough, and the foreman needs to be formally trained. That's a mouthful right there. Anyways, if you want to be on the Foreman 101 information call, join me at that. The cell phone number to text to get on the wait list is 315-903-7853. And I look forward to meeting you there. Thanks for checking in.